Minecraft Championship has welcomed many new players over the 28 events it's held, but one of the players that I would say fits into the event the best is Sneegsnag. He joined the event in MCC 17, and since then, he has really taken a liking to MCC. However, something that most people don't see about Sneegsnag is just how good he is at Minecraft. Today I'll be showcasing why I think Sneeg is an underrated MCC participant. Also, this is part 2 of my underrated MCC participant series, so if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, which is all about 5-up, then I would consider watching that right after this one if you haven't already. Subscribing supports the channel, so consider hitting that button. Anyways, let's get right into the video. Sneegsnag is an overall average of 1,931 coins, an average team placement of 5.3, and an average individual placement of 22.5. One of his greatest strengths is how well he adapts to change and how flexible he is when it comes to a good game order for him. In his first event ever, MCC 17, Sneeg and the rest of the Blue Bats finished in 10th as a team after a rough game order and the team just generally underperforming from what people expected. However, what makes this team special for Sneeg is that he finished in 34th, which was the best on his team in only his first event. Sneeg, as a new player, beat old pros like Philza and Buran, no pun intended, on the same team. In his next event, MCC 18, Sneeg followed up his 10th place finish from 17 with a 3rd place as a team on the Science Centipedes. The team is notorious for performing far above what most people expected of them, and a big part of that was Sneeg stepping up to the plate and getting 12th individually, his best individual placement to date, almost matching the scores of MCC greats like Ranboo and Captain Sparkles in only his second event. His next event, and his best event to date, is MCC 19, where Sneeg earned his first MCC win on the Teal Turkeys, placing first as a team with Sneeg placing 14th individual. His team had many strengths, and in this event Sneeg really showed what he is capable of. At this point, Sneeg's team placements were only improving from his first, and things were looking up. Until MCC 20. Sneeg's roughest event since his debut. With the teams being so balanced in this event, there have to be some players who underperform, and Sneeg was one of them. Him and the Purple Pandas got 9th as a team, and Sneeg placed 31st individual. But Sneeg didn't let this get him down, as the vibes on this team were great, and it was obvious that everyone had a great time. Sneeg's next event is MCC 21. Him and the Pink Parrots got 6th as a team, and Sneeg placed 27th. This team had a rocky start, but pulled it back in the last few games while still maintaining their immaculate vibes. Sneeg really came in clutch for this team at a few points in this event, which really contributed to their comeback. MCC 23 is Sneeg's most recent event and could potentially have been his second win, except a heartbreaking meltdown finale denied them dodgebolt, even with the team being in a solid first place for most of the event. The Blue Bats placed 3rd as a team and Sneeg ended in 17th individual. Sneeg once again proved that he has the capability to be on a first place team, and this is definitely one of his best events so far. Now onto some specific games that Sneegsnag excels in, starting with his best game statistically, BattleBox. Sneeg's average placement in BattleBox is 13th with an average of 337 coins. He hasn't dropped out of the top 20 any time he's played BattleBox, and even made top 5 in MCC 19. Sneeg was a massive part of the Teal Turkey's perfect game in BattleBox, and not many people realize that. He stayed more towards the back and provided cover fire with the bow, which allowed his teammates to easily push the enemy teams back, and also let him keep an eye on the middle, which is crucial to preventing wall rushes. He also adapted well to the BattleBox remix and continued his dominance in the game, which I think is one of Sneeg's best qualities. Side note, Sneeg is actually cracked with the bow. Can we just take a moment to appreciate that? Sneeg's second best game statistically is Parkour Tag, where he has an average placement of 10th with an average of 303 coins. This definitely has potential to be his best MCC game in the future because he made top 15 in MCC 20 and MCC 21, while even making top 5 in MCC 23, which is very impressive. Sneeg's biggest strength in this game is as a runner, but he also performs quite well as a hunter. He also gives his team valuable comms and is overall a great Parkour Tag player. His third best game statistically is Ace Race, with an average placement of 15.5 and an average of 300 coins. Sneeg continues his trend of great placements in games because he's only dropped out of the top 15 once, usually staying around the 10th to 15th range, which is solid for games like Ace Race. Parkour Tag and Ace Race are examples of Sneeg's movement ability, and he is very consistent when it comes to these two games. His fourth best game statistically is Sky Battle, with an average placement of 17.2 and an average of 279 coins. Sky Battle is one of Sneeg's better games, where he stays in the top 20 with the exception of MCC 20. Sneak is a fairly average Sky Battle player, but he did make the top 5 in MCC 23, which is quite impressive. His 5th best game statistically is Grid Runners, where Sneak has an average placement of 20.5 and an average of 263 coins. Sneak is an interesting Grid Runners player because he has had 3 above average performances in 18, 19, and 23, and 3 under average performances in 17, 20, and 21. If him and his team could do a little bit more consistent, then Grid Runners could definitely be one of Sneak's best games. His 6th best game statistically is Sands of Time, where Sneak has an average placement of 25.2 and an average of 237 coins. Sands of Time is another one of Sneak's more inconsistent games, but he did manage to make top 5 in the last time he played it. So in the future, we could see some more high placements in Sands of Time from Sneak. Also, every time he's played Sands of Time, he's gotten more coins than the last time. So if he keeps it up, I could see Sneak being a top player in this game. Another one of Sneak's best qualities is how good he is at such a wide range of games. We've seen high placements from him in PvP, movement, and team games, which makes him a very valuable player to have on your team. His 7th best game statistically is Build Mart, where Sneak has an average placement of 23rd and an average of 233 coins. Build Mart is a bit of an inconsistent game from Sneak, which now means that I've said that for all 3 team games. One of Sneak's weaknesses is his inconsistency, but I think that if he plays just a few more events, then this could be solved. However, Sneak has improved in coins every time he's played Build Mart with the exception of MCC 20. His 8th best game statistically is Hole in the Wall, where Sneak has an average placement of 23rd and an average of 223 coins. There isn't much to say about this game. Sneak has been in the bottom 5, but has also been very close to top 5. He did transition well from the old Hole in the Wall to the new Hole in the Wall, which is shown by him actually improving at Hole in the Wall when it was changed, so look out for more improvements in the future. His 9th best game statistically is Survival Games, where Sneak has an average placement of 25.2 and an average of 201 coins. Sneak is a pretty average Survival Games player, apart from an unfortunate 40th place in MCC 21. If he can be just a little more consistent, Survival Games would actually be one of Sneak's better games. His 10th best game statistically is To Get to the Other Side, where Sneak has an average placement of 22.8 and an average of 198 coins. Sneak's scores in this game are actually very average, which is good considering that this game is his 3rd worst statistically. Actually, if you remove his score from MCC 20, then this would definitely be one of his better games. His 11th best game statistically and his 2nd worst game statistically is Meltdown, where Sneak has an average placement of 34th and an average of 128 coins. He has literally only played Meltdown once and got very unlucky, and his worst game statistically is Rocket Spleef Rush, where Sneak has an average of 29.3 and an average of 121 coins, which is actually quite good for it being his worst game. Everyone has a rough time with this game when it's played for the first time, so if you take out his performance in MCC 20, then Sneak is actually very average at this game, which means that in terms of skill level, I would say right now, Sneak is either above average or very slightly below average in every game that he's played in, which is quite impressive for any MCC player. As for his skills at dodgebolt, I would say that Sneak is quite solid here too, and if he makes dodgebolt again, I would say that his team would have a pretty good shot at the win because of how adaptable Sneak is, and now really any game can be good for him if he keeps improving like he has recently. Also, Sneak's reaction to winning MCC has got to be one of the best winning reactions I've ever seen.
Let's go!
So overall, Sneak's best games are PvP games like BattleBox and Sky Battle, but he also does well in survival games, and I believe that he has the ability to improve in Meltdown in the future. He does very well not just in the PvP part where he excels with the bow, but also in the communications part of PvP games, where he always gives valuable information and calls the shot if his team needs him to. Sneak's next best games are movement games, especially Parkour Tag and Ace Race, but he also performs well in Hole in the Wall, To Get to the Other Side, and Rocket Spleef Rush. His skills in movement games come from his mechanical skill and knowledge of the game, as well as communication abilities in movement games too. Sneak's next best games are team games, like Grid Runners, Sands of Time, and Build Mart. And already his team game skill is very close to his movement skill, so I could definitely see team games becoming a new strength for Sneak. His communication ability applies to all team games, and if he just becomes a little more consistent with team games, then Sneak could end up being a top player in this category. A theme throughout this video has been that Sneak could be inconsistent at times, but that can work in his favor because it means that sometimes he can put up great scores in games that no one expected from him. However, I think this problem can be solved with a little more experience with MCC. As for where I'd put Sneak in a tier list, right now, he would probably be in B+, but I definitely expect this to change in future events because Sneak has been improving at almost every game since his debut, and I wouldn't be surprised if he becomes an A- or even A tier in the future. And that's it. Thank you all so much for watching. Consider subscribing and join my Discord server linked in the description for sneak peeks at future videos, or if you just want to chat with other MCC fans. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.